Hi, my name is Alessandro Gangerosi and that's a video tutorial coming from cngcookie.com for MaxCookie. We have to continue the creating an elevator series, and we have to finalize the modeling stuffs there, and we have to finalize the rendering and the compositing, then we can move to the next rendering engine. So I'd like to work on this part of the model, so we can go inside there and isolate the selection, and we can have a perspective view there, and we can remove the show save frame. So we can play in this way, and I like to add some stuffs inside. So the first thing we can add is something that can contain some text there, and to have it we can use an extended primitives, a Sanford box, and we can have something like this, okay, and we can check how it works, and we can align there, center and center, and then we can move it there and there, and we have to move it. Let's go at full screen, and we can have it, for example, there, and then okay, we have just to play a little bit with it, okay, and move it, and then I like to see if the position is right and can be okay, and this one can have a simple shader. We can create a white metal plate, we can assign it and use an Arcan design, and it will be white, but we have to add something there. Let's say that we have 0.3 and really 0.4 and a really heavy glossiness, and we can have maybe 8 for the higher and set the reflection by higher. So this will be our reflection, and I like to add something there, and we have, maybe we can add the logo for let's check if we have a texture, or we can use the logo from CG Cookie. Let's go in the maps. Okay, and let's see if we have something there. I'm not sure we have something that can be used in this case, but we can try. I think not, so we can go in the right folder and we can choose the right texture. Let's try inside this HD, let's go there, and we can use maybe this one just to use the logo. Let's see it. Okay, and we can pick just this area, and apply the crop, and you see that we have this one in the wrong way, and we can rotate by 90 degree, 180 degree, sorry, in this way, and we can have no tiling, but I like to do it a little bit more little, and it should works in this way. Okay, And then I like to play a little bit over the panel there, and let's go there, and you see we are there, and let's work on the right. Okay, and we can zoom this area. Okay, I like to have the button to the side where we have to go, so we need for sure some stuffs, and we can use the cylinder to make the hole. Let's try with something bigger, and then we can say that we have 4 centimeters. Let's go to 3 centimeters, and let's have maybe 30 sides to have a round side. And let's go there and there. I'd like to see the camera so we see the right proportion. Use show safe frame and then move this one. Okay, so the button will be big enough, I think, and maybe we can do it maybe just a little bit more little, 2.5. Okay, so we need for sure some commands there, and we can think about, for example, to have this one there, and then we'll have, maybe we can prepare an array. Okay, and we have to move the sorry, 0 over the y-axis, and let's think to have maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies. And let's try with minus, or maybe we can use just this one. -5, -10, another copies. Okay, and let's say that we like in this way. Okay, and then we can pick the stuffs we done now, and we can copy it there. Okay, and we can think, for example, to have maybe not one there, so this one can be moved, and maybe we can remove this one, so we have something a little bit more interesting. Sorry, and then we can select the others and we can move it there. Okay, now we have to prepare the mesh, and it's possible that we have to copy this one there to have the same Boolean operation there. So let's make a saving, and we can start playing with our Boolean operation. So let's go there, let's remove the show safe frame, let's go in perspective, and let's start playing with it. So for sure we need a copy of this one that can be changed later, and let's call it, let's do a clone, and this will be a group. Let's call it buttons, and we can hide it. Okay, back there and choose compound objects, pro boolean, start picking, and let's see if everything will work fine. For the moment we have not some big problems. Okay, and we can convert to editable poly, and we can try to have a mirroring for this one. So let's make a clone, and this clone will have this side removed. So you see, there is a little bit of problem there, so let's remove the clone. Okay. Okay. And now we have this one, and we can center the pivot there, and we can make a mirroring copy later when we have all the buttons in the right way. Let's go on the screen there and unhide by name buttons. Okay. We can exit from the isolation, so we can check it, and let's go on the perspective. And I think that I don't like these buttons. We can model it from 0, but in the meantime I need a copy for this one, so we can go there, mirroring as an instance over the y-axis, and let's move it we should have in the right position actually. Okay, so let's create now the buttons, so we can go then again there and isolate, and we need the buttons, and I like to have a different way to create the buttons. So let's go on the first button there. Okay, and we can start, let's see, with a chamfer cylinder. Okay, we have to make it bigger. Okay, then we can start to have 5 centimeters, let's say 3 centimeters for the height, and 0.2 for the fillet, and 30, and then we can start moving there. It's too big. 2.2, 2.3, 2.35. Something like that, and I like to see how it looks. Let's move it. Okay. It can be enough. And I like to have, let's use the same shader we are using there. So let's pick this one, and this one can have the same shader, and we need also the same mapping. So let's choose this one. Let's see if we can use the UVW and acquire, and we have no mapping there. So we can try to have a planar mapping, and we don't need the edges faces. Okay, so we can scale it to have something similar. Okay, you see now it's similar to the others. And we have the buttons, and now we need the something around to have an illumination. So let's go in the left. And I like just to move a little bit. Okay, to have it in the right way. And back there, let's use more segments. Okay, I like to have also some illumination, so we can do something like selecting and convert to editable poly, and we can select this area, and we can open the graphite, and I like to select, and let's remove. And there, let's make a selection, and I like to remove the selection there. Okay, so we have just the front selection, and we can detach this area. Let's go for, let's close the ribbon and detach, and let's call it button light. Okay, and let's close. We can select button light, and we can use the same map as this one. So let's copy it there, and let's call it button light, and assign it, and you see that this one will be less illuminated. Let's try with 5000, and we have this key that will be really useful. And we can have then a text. You can prepare some texture, or we can use the text there inside 3ds Max. We can be really fast. So let's use the text, and we'll have to make it little. Okay, let's go there, and let's use G for the ground, and let's say 2 centimeters. Okay, and in the middle, perfect. And we can extrude, let's say 1 centimeters, 0.2, so it's just to be visible. And we can have the same material, the bottom light, so it should something like that. Okay, we can select all the steps we have there. Let's remove from the selection, and that's the right selection. Okay, and we can make a group, and we can call it button, and then now we can make a copy where we need it. So again, array, preview, and we have in the right position, as you see. Okay, and let's select whole, but we don't need this one and this one, and we can make sorry, let's remove with the Alt key the selection for the big mesh there. Let's make a copy so we can move it and change the text when we need, and I like to move a little bit over the x-axis. Go back there, and we need to make another copy. So this one will be copied there using the shift key as a copy. Okay, let's start preparing the other look there, and I like to have, let's start from this one, and let's move to go near. Open the group, select the text, and there we can use, for example, this one, and it will be maybe 3-4 centimeters, and in the middle, okay, and this one, group, open, this one, 4 centimeter, and it will be this one, and in the middle, okay. I like to check that everything will works. Let's go on the camera. We have to move. So you see that I made a mistake because I moved. Okay. And it's one group, open. Just to the selected objects, okay, and we have to move it. Perfect. Okay, let's go there, and now we have to work with this one. Let's zoom, group, open, select this one, and this will be 1. And let's say that we start to have maybe 3 centimeters. Okay, and we can choose to have over the x-axis, the y-axis, and not the z. Okay, perfect. So we have the 1, and we used 3 centimeters. Okay, let's open group, selecting the G, and there we need 3 centimeters, and go there in the middle. Okay, and close. This one, group, open, the G, 3 centimeters, and that's the plane 3, the floor 3, and in the middle, group, open, selecting the text, 3 centimeters, and we have the 4, and then in the middle, okay, this one again, group, open, selecting the text, 3 centimeters, and we have the 5, and then in the middle, and then the others same way, 3 centimeters, and we have the 6th, and then align, group, open, text, 3 centimeters, floor 7, and align, and then group, open, 3 centimeters, and that's the floor 8, and then align. Okay. Let's go in choose a frame, and we have the number in the right position. Okay, so we can select everything, remove this one from the selection, we can exit from the isolation, and we can make a group. Let's call it buttons, and we can make a mirror copy as an instance and move it there. We have a problem with the wall number 2. That's right. Okay, and move it there. And then we can zoom there. I'm not doing a so precise stuff, but it's not right. So let's delete. It's better to do, let's make a copy over the x-axis as a copy. Sorry, there. And we can then adjust the other stuffs. So let's say okay. And then we have to move it. Okay. Now we can have this one in the right position. Sorry. Okay. And group, open. This one, group, open. And the G must be mirrored over the x-axis. Okay. Let's go there for the number, and there group, open, the number, the mirror. Okay, and we have to move it in the middle, and then we have to play on this one. Let's continue on the others. Let's select this one, group, open, and let's make the same. This one, group, open, and the same. Okay. There, group, open. Okay, and group, open. Okay, mirror. Okay, and move to the last. Group, open, mirror. Okay, group, open, and again mirror, and the last one, group, open. Okay, this one is okay because it's the 8. Let's go in the camera 1, and choose a frame, and we have to check if the look is right. So select there, and let's say that I like to render this area. Let's make a test render to see if the look is right. Most important is the lighting there, and I like to have maybe a little bit less lighting on the buttons. So let's go in the material editor, and there let's try with 2000 2500 and render again. And maybe just a little bit less. So let's try with 1500 and render. And that's not bad. I like the actual lighting there. Okay, let's prepare a really rough preview and save the scene. Close there. Let's see if it's look right. And then we are ready to save the image to move on combustion. And I think that in general it is not bad. Okay, maybe we can just change a little bit there. Let's go in perspective and let's check there. I like to move a little bit maybe the lamp. Let's remove the shutter frame and let's see if I can select just the ramp. Over the Z-axis. Okay, that's the minimum, so we can change a little bit this material. I like to see a little bit of reflection there. Let's select. We have, maybe we can use a little bit more gray, and let's go for 1, and let's go for a glossy reflection. Okay, back inside the camera and back with the shutter frame, and let's try to make a test render just for this area and make also a copy render, and let's see if it's a little bit better. I'd like to see a little bit more, as you see now there. Now we see the differences, but I think that now is okay. Okay, let's stop. And let's zoom there. You see that there we have something. We see the shell, and there no. So let's go with this setup and let's see the rendering preset to have the final image. Okay, and let's go inside the rendering engine, and we have let's do a bigger rendering, so let's go for maybe a 900 there for 600, and let's go for 5 minutes. Obviously, if you have a slower video card, you have to use more time, or you can use the unlimited, and you can stop it when you need. And we have there the Gaussian, and we can stay with the Gaussian. Later we can maybe have a little bit of sharper manually back there, and let's say that we like to have the complete render, and I can render it, and we can use it in compositing. Okay, the rendering is done. I can save it, and we can have it in the right folder. Let's go there, and elevator part 3, and we have 3ds Max elevator part 3 output dot TIFF, so we can have a maximum quality 16-bit pack bits. Okay, and save, and I'll save the scene for you also for 2010, and save as also 2011. Okay, and let's go inside Combustion, new workspace. Let's say for, I don't remember the resolution, 600. Okay, so 600 by 900. Okay, import footage, and I have to go in the right folder, in elevator part 3, and that's really a big problem to select the right one. I have to change a little bit the resolution of the screen to have access there. Okay, we have it, so I can open the file and let's see it there. And the first thing I like to do is to have a color correction. So let's check, for example, the shadows. And I like to have a little bit like that. Let's see the midtones. Something like that. But let's go back to the shadows, and the master can be in this way. Let's go in color correction, brightness and contrast, and I like to have a little bit more contrast and a little bit of brightness. See how it is changing. Okay, and now I'd like to have, let's go for Stylites Glow. Okay, we have to pick just the light, and let's go near there, and you see that's the scaling, and I like to have it big but not so powerful, so something like that can be enough. And we can then see if we need, for example, a little bit of sharpen. We have a little bit of grain still inside our scene, but we can use just a little bit of this one. Okay, and I think that actually it's not bad. We can maybe have another little bit of color correction just to have a little bit more saturation. You see we have more color there, and let's see what happens if we have a little variation in the coloring. Reset, let's go to have a little bit of saturation, and let's go in the shadows. Okay, something like that. And in the shadows we can remove a little bit of saturation, and we can have a little bit of more contrast, so something like that. Okay, I think that we have our final image, and we can save the workspace, and we can save using the maximum quality also our image. to save it in the right folder, and will be tree-comp. Okay, so I think we done everything we have to do with iRay, and in the next part we'll move on another rendering engine. So we'll try, for example, Final Render, and then we'll work with V-Ray 2. So we'll try to finalize this project in various production conditions. So for the moment, that's all, and I hope to see you back on Max Cookie to check for new tutorial coming from cgcookie.com. Bye.